Hi students of ed601, my name is Wade Warren. I do recognize a couple of names on this list. Students in the class, it looks like there's 7 students and me enrolled in the class so far. This course is done completely online, but it is intended to be a very interactive course. And so I want to introduce it to you and talk about the requirements for the course. I want you to see your classmates first. This is in the students view on my tab, so you can see your classmates and their names here, which I think you can also see on your own portal. So let's go right to the syllabus and talk about what the course is all about. This is a brief introduction to me. For those of you who don't know me, I am a full-time faculty member in the biology department at Louisiana College. I did my undergraduate work here and my doctoral work at Texas A&M, postdoctoral fellowship at Georgia State. I currently serve as the Kavanaugh Chair in Biology. My wife's Dr. Christy Trahan Warren, some of you know her. And we have 2 daughters, Casey, who is a recent graduate of Louisiana College and a 3rd grade teacher now, and Chloe, who is a freshman this year at Louisiana College. I have an extensive background in neuroscience and have done a number of surgical procedures on animals over the course of my career. I also have a really fun lab in Kavanaugh Hall that I would love to show to some of you. If you're interested at some point, come by and see me, and I'll show you all this really cool stuff that I have to do: brain activity patterns, muscle stuff, heart activity. GSR is a way of doing lie detection, some really fun toys to play with in the physiology lab, and I'd welcome any of you to come by and have a look sometime. So I have a lot of teaching experience here, of course, in the sciences, and mostly anatomy and physiology stuff. But I also help with the freshman orientation program here at the college, and regularly give faculty training seminars and how to do online courses, which means this course better be good, right? If I'm giving seminars on it. Anyway, in addition to my training in the sciences and a long-time educator, I also have a lot of coursework in Hebrew language and exegetical courses, and that'll become obvious to you over your experience here in ed601. Now, before we go any further, the course title is Significance in Teaching. The way this course will be delivered in content is all content that I have written and developed myself. The course has been taught by different faculty members in the past, and I'm sure there'll be different ones teaching it in the future. My approach to significance in teaching, I'm going to just leave for you to decide. The first several sessions of the course will be science related, and so I worked, as you'll learn, extensively over the last year or so on the Louisiana Science Standards Committee. I was a member of the Oversight Committee in that process. And whether you want to or not, your educators, this is going to influence your lives. So that's going to have some significance for you, and also in the way you teach, I hope. My particular interest is in the science standards was in the area of biology, of course, but also as it relates to evolutionary, the presentation of evolutionary biology in the current science textbooks, which you'll have to decide for yourself as I present all that information to you, whether you think that is fair and appropriate for public school students. Also, the last more than half, almost 2/3 of the course, will be an effort in what I call discovering the author's intentions. And so we do a little bit of this with the science textbooks. I'm going to show you images out of the science texts and talk about what I think the author's intentions are. And so that sort of will be the theme that'll carry us through the class. What are the author's intentions in the presentation that's made? And so as you follow the first few sessions, we'll be talking about science text, and as I said, the last half to two-thirds of the course we'll be talking about biblical text. And so significance in teaching is a little different there. This is a very academic approach to reading Bible, and really the effort here is to use Scripture as a text itself. And so as you'll learn in the first session that you do, we're going to talk about how the biblical authors are presenting their story and see if there's some sophistication in the delivery of content and how the author uses a compositional approach to deliver overall themes. And so I hope that'll be fun. That's the intent. It's not intended to be a drag. It's intended to be enjoyable, as this entire course is supposed to be. And so I hope when you get finished with it, you'll look back and say, okay, I see where you're going there, Warren. This does have some value to me and significance in teaching. I have had to use my brain, and I have seen how you've used science text and biblical text as modeling for trying to determine author's intent. It's a big thing in the science literature these days, reading the text, reading the original documents to determine author's intent. And so that's really what this course is designed to do, to model that for you guys. So you'll have to evaluate that on your own as to just how valuable that is, but that's really the intent. Now, more specifics, right? Enough of this rambling. So this is the syllabus that's on your portal that you can download, and this is the standard education syllabus, much of this. So I'm not going to read all this to you. I want to get right to the heart of the matter. So you can see here that my name and my office number. For those of you who are around here, I'd love to visit, stop by, and see me sometime. I would love that. This is a really important number for you. That's my cell number. You may text me or call me anytime. I am more than happy to talk to you about whatever's on your mind. So I just told you the course description, so I won't read that to you. And here's a sort of an overview of the content, and you can read that for yourself. And here's some course objectives, and I won't read those to you either. But you can see it's got some heavy-duty science. Now, before you panic on me, because you guys are not all science teachers, of course, before you panic, let me say this. This is not a science class. It's one of the reasons I love it so much. This is a modeling class to help just to talk to you guys about reading original text and how what the significance of that may be for you. You're going to have to apply that yourself for your own teaching strategies. If it's any help, I would be honored by that. Okay. What I mean to say here is, please don't worry about learning all the science stuff. Just as you watch the sessions, absorb what you can. I have talked in the sessions with the intent of communicating with people who do not have science backgrounds. So please don't worry about that, and try to get some enjoyment out of it. That's really more than anything, I would love for you to enjoy learning what you learn and commenting on what you learn as well, and entering into conversation with me about it. Okay, so there are many books that have been used to develop this material. These are some of my favorites. I traveled with Ian Thomas years ago when I was a young man. He's written several books, and some of the content in the Mystery of Godliness shows up very early in the biblical stuff that you're going to learn about. This is a book called Genesis Unbound by John Sailhammer, recently passed away. He was a Hebrew scholar and has been influential in my reading of biblical text, and so you'll hear some of his stuff, especially in the opening verses and chapters of Genesis. William Dembski has written several books. Some of the content comes out of this. Design Inference. Stephen Meyer is another very popular name, written many things, a couple of large volume books. This is one that a lot of content comes from in the course, Darwin's Doubt. Francis Collins we'll talk about very early in this class. Head of the NIH, wrote a book, as you can see here, The Language of God, and very compelling stuff. And so I thought you guys would enjoy seeing that. Very famous book by Michael Behe, written back in the late 90s. It's been updated version that has come out a few years ago and caused quite a stir. There's a former faculty member here named Mike Shepard, who is a personal friend of mine, and he's also written several books. There's a couple here that content come out of, and I wanted to give due credit to these people before we start. These are not books that you need to purchase for this class unless you just want to. They'll be mentioned in the sequence of the course, and you'll see it in the course content, but you don't have to buy these. I just wanted you to see them up front where a lot of the content comes from. All right, the grading scale honestly should be irrelevant. If you turn your work in, as I've asked you to, everybody makes an A in this class. The point of this class is not to load you up with things that you have to memorize or to test you on things. That's not the point. The point of this class is to talk about original author's intent and how that may have some meaning to you guys for your teaching. That would be great. Or, you know, I'm going to be happy if you'll just enter into dialogue with me about the content that's presented. And so I put the grading scale on here. People sometimes don't turn things in, and I don't understand that, but everyone should make an A in this class. All right. So the course itself is set up as a series of video sessions. I made these summer a year ago, and so I do need to update a couple of them. I know I have not had time to do that yet, but they're fine the way they are. They open up our conversation, and so I've got them all already put on the portal. I'll show them to you in just a moment. Okay. So I say here the introduction session will count for 5 points. So you're watching it right now. You're going to submit to me after you watch this. It's just practice to get you started. Submit to me a paper on Turnitin that's called Introduction, and I'll say, yep, they heard it, they got it, they're ready to go, and you'll get full credit for that. So you need to watch the introduction video, which you're already doing, and then type a few notes about the course and submit these and turn it in. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. So each of the other sessions will count for 15 points apiece. For each session, the student writes reflections, opinions, and answers to questions that are listed in the course packet that A, demonstrate content knowledge of the session and thoughtful reflection. So this is the course, y'all. This is what you do. There are 25 different assignment sessions, some of them with multiple videos in them. You will watch those sessions that are assigned 2 sessions per week for the semester. You'll watch them, and while you're watching them, you take some notes. Because I need to know that you've watched the session. That's part of my job here, to make sure that you're going through the content. And then what I'm really interested in, and I'll say this over and over and over again in the sessions, is I want to hear what you think about what I've said. There is no wrong answer. You cannot offend me. I have had people over the last year say the most wonderful things to me, and people who have said the most horrible things to me about the presentations. And so the whole point for me is to enter into dialogue with you, and if your writing demonstrates your content knowledge and thoughtful reflection, you're going to get full credit for the sessions. Now, especially very early on in the semester, when I read your comments and I say, okay, you may have watched the whole session, but I'm not convinced, I'll deduct points here, or I'll send you a message on Remind, send you a text message saying, look, you got to add some to this, it's not enough. And so you'll get a sense of that very quickly. Just do your work well, make sure I can tell you've been through the whole session, and then make some thoughtful comments about, now you want to know, okay, so what does that look like? All right, so here it is. This is, I blocked the name out here so you can't see it, but this is from the summer of 2016, an example of a student and the reflection and opinion that they submitted to me on Turnitin. And so you can go through the syllabus here and read what they're writing. This is just a sampling here. So generally speaking, about a page worth of information should be enough for each session. Now, on some of the sessions I'll say, I'm going to put a quiz up on this one. I don't have any quizzes on here. So I was, that was the eager beaver go-getter in me trying to do that. So don't worry about quizzes. And then the other thing, what else was I going to say about that? About a page worth of information. Oh yeah, in some of the sessions, I think it's session 13 and 14, during the middle of the session, somebody was pounding on my door, so you get a good kick out of that one while I'm trying to talk through content. And I ignored it at the first, and then I can't ignore it. So you'll be able to submit those. They're both on Turnitin, but you can probably submit session 13 and 14 as one. I believe, if I got the numbers right, those will go together. But you'll figure it out when you get to it. The sessions go together there. Okay, so about a page worth of stuff. I want you to be able to read some of the reflections that this individual had made. All right, so I say here each of the video sessions have written questions with them. I've written those into the course packet. You don't have to answer all of those questions, and of course I will not deduct points for opinions that differ from mine. I really just want you to open up your mind and your thought processes and tell me what you think. That's really what this is all about, opening a dialogue with you about the course content. Now at the end of the class there's a paper that you have to do demonstrating your ability, sorry, the paper here at the end needs to be 1,000 words long. It's the last thing, the last week of the semester right before Thanksgiving. Write a 1,000-word paper, and this is what it needs to include. So this one's worth a big chunk of points, 50 points. The first section of the paper needs to have a narrative that details the influence of people that have shaped your view of the world. Now, I wish I could share some of the papers that people have written. I've had, a couple hundred people go through this course with me, and as I read these, I normally end up in tears. It's just, it's such a rare privilege for me. I'm so grateful that the school gives me an opportunity to do this class. I get to know people, and they share things about their worldview that just mean the world to me, that people would honor me with this information. So that's the first piece. The second piece of the paper is, what are some significant things that you picked up in this class? So ed601 is intended to have some significance to you. How did this course benefit you? So I am begging you to say something nice here. You see that? But then the last part, which does have an impact on me as well, is how you think we can do better. And I have made significant changes to this. Obviously, the quizzes aren't there. People freaked about that early on. And I've made a couple other modifications to sessions just this past year, just this summer, for the science content that people wanted to know about. So that's all been added to the course because people asked for it. Okay. All the stuff in the class has to be turned in through turnitin.com, and if you go to turnitin.com and enroll yourself if you haven't already, here's the class ID name and the enrollment key. Everything you write has to be submitted through Turnitin, and this is the class ID and enrollment key that you'll use to get in the course. And then finally, we're going to stay in touch with each other. We're going to do it by texting through remind.com. I'm going to make comments to you about what you've written in your papers, and you're going to respond to me. And if you don't, I'm going to track you down. And so students, I say here, must register for receiving text through remind.com. Most of you have used this. This is what you'll use, ed601 FA is the message that you'll send to this number, and that'll enroll you in the course. Alright, now let's look at the class for just a minute so you can see what I've been talking about, where all this stuff is. Okay, let me go over here and log into the class. Alright, ed601. Alright, so when you log in, let's look and see what you're going to be looking at. I'm going to view this as a student. So right here there's going to be a picture of what you clicked on. It's not here yet because I'm making this picture currently. So right in the overview I'll have the introduction here. Okay, so the key places in this class are, well, the one key place in this class is here in the resources. So if you go to the resources, you can see that the course is set up here. Here's the content packet that I'm working through in the class so you can follow along. Here's the syllabus that we went through just a moment ago. And then here's the introduction video that you're watching right now. And then here's the sessions, session 1, 2, 3. And look, with session 3, there are some attachments. With session 4, there are a couple of additional videos. Steve Meyer and Paul Nelson, I have a couple of YouTube links here so you can listen to them talk about the things I talk about. And then there are 2 videos that go here with each of these sessions 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and 10, sorry. And then here's all the stuff, here's all my work on the Louisiana Science Standards. You'll need to go through each of these. The due dates for this week will be session 9, 10, and 10B. You'll see that on Turnitin. And then you'll follow the class through here, right through, well, let me go all the way. Yeah, right through the last one, session 24. So 2 per week, except there'll be 3 this week of the 9, 10, and 10B session in Turnitin. So that's what you do. You click on this thing, you watch the session, and make notes while you do. Write a one-page response to that showing me you've listened to it and you've made some thoughtful reflection, and we'll enter into dialogue that way. Okay, let's see. Last thing I want to show you is the Turnitin piece. So when you go to Turnitin.com, you'll see in Turnitin the class, this is mine, so there it is, ed601 Fall 2017. And if I click on that, it opens this page up. Now you can't see the sessions written over here. I've got the screen cut off here on you. That's session 1 and 2. And here are all the due dates here. The due dates will also be on the portal, so you can see those. There's session 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Now, the session 10s that I added, session 10B and the intro submission are way down here at the bottom. So you can see session 10B has a September 24th deadline, and the introduction paper needs to be turned in by the 27th. But you guys are going to be doing that immediately the first week of class and turning those in. So you just go to Turnitin and click on the paper or the session or whatever, and it'll ask you to upload your file, and it'll send it to me, and I can read it by opening it and Turnitin. And then you can track along week by week. I'll keep up with you, and let's see where we want to go. Back to the course. You'll be able to go to the where we're going to go to do that. The coursework. Yeah, so here are all the sessions in the coursework, and I'll be submitting your grades here. I think you'll be able to see those when you click on Gradebook. Let's see. Yeah, no grades here yet, but when you log on here, I won't record the grades and turn it in. I'll come on the portal and put your grades in here so you can track along. Make sure you're getting full credit for your assignments. At least for the first few weeks, if I'm going to take off points, I'll send you a message saying I'm taking points off, so get it right next time. All right. I think that's it. That is an introduction to ed601. So I look forward to having conversations with all of you, and please try to enjoy yourself as you do this class.